example, we'll go over the moves of the Witch. Basically, is what I call them, is the moves, right? How you play, which is basically snipers and raging spirits with firewall, or unearth with arsonists, and then storm mages for mapping, or arsonists for mapping, using the curses, using the weapon swap, repositioning with your sprint, and then you have bossing damage on the weapon set, which I'll add into the video so you can really see like the difference in bossing damage. I'll talk about the support gems, the passive tree, and the gear, and then there'll be a link for my current POB. Cool. Enjoy. So the first move up is going to be your gas arrow with your raging spirits with Infernal Legion and Fireball to detonate, right? So this is going to be your bread and butter for bossing. It does a ton of damage and it hits hard. But there has been a nerf to it because of the way Ignite works. So as far as using it through mapping, you still can. It's just you have to be aware that it takes time for the Ignite to set off. And it's kind of a curse and a blessing at the same time. So that's the first thing you got to be familiar with, because this thing hits really hard on bossing, and we're going to have it on our weapon swap. Okay, moving on. The next move you got to be familiar with is with your Arsonist, right? Now, Explosive Demise, it's really good for mapping early level, right? When the cost of the Explosive Demise is low. And this is what kind of pushed me through early mapping. Once I got my Raging Spirit, or once I got my snipers and they were doing good damage, single target for killing rares, I need something better for mapping, and it was the Arsonists. They're back on the menu, right? So them in combination with Unearth will allow you to detonate your Unearth monsters. So, and you can kind of just keep doing that. Another thing to do too is you can detonate your Raging Spirits. So once you get Raging Spirits in the campaign, you don't have to use Unearth anymore. You can just detonate the Raging Spirits. And with that said, the Raging Spirits at lower level, they're in the threshold of the detonation. So you instantly pop Raging Spirits, and then you'll hit them with your Explosive Demise. And it works really well for clearing. Now, the other playstyle that I used to map is the Storm Mages. So it's less active, which is good if you want to relax and not be so button pressing heavy. And you get them around level 13, and they're a great alternative. Even though they got nerfed to the amount that they chained, they still feel really good. And they no longer have that bug where they're too far and they're out of range. So they make a really good minion basically for clearing trash, which you'll then use your, your snipers to basically nuke everything else down. So those are the three main core minions that I use. Now let's talk about the weapon swapping, right? So you can have a mapping set and a bossing set. The way it works is it's in here in your inventory. I play on controller, so if I hold triangle, right, it'll actually leave the weapon set 2 open, and then if I hold it, it puts the same copy in both weapon set 1 and 2. Reason why it's good is because it allows you, like I said, this is my mapping set with more Arsonists and 1 sniper, and here's my bossing set with more snipers and 1 Arsonist. Now, as you get more spirit, you can lay it out however you want, right? So that way when you're playing through or you sprint around, right, you've got your Arsonists, and then you kind of have your Demise. You use it, blow them up, right? You push through, pushing in. There's a rare right there. Hit him with a gas arrow. He detonates. And that's kind of how you play. You move from spot to spot. In the event you see a boss, you would weapon swap, bring in more snipers, and then that'll allow you to just constantly have gas arrows. Then you can blow up your gas arrow with 1 Explosive Demise, however you want to play. So that's basically it for weapon swapping. Now there is one key issue with weapon swapping. There's a glitch that goes on. Okay, so I got the glitch to happen. Right, if you look at my skill bar down here, you can see I have no Arsonists out and it says 0. For whatever reason, it's still on. Right? The Arsonist ability is still highlighted even though I have none allocated. So that can happen. When that happens, basically any skill you press, even if it's not up, will weapon swap. I don't know why that happens. Like, look, I have no Storm Mages. I can't even use the ability. It'll just weapon swap and pull them out. Interesting. I don't know what causes it. Maybe it's the spirit differential has to be close. Let's see. So this is the bossing. This is the mapping set. Ah, you see, I could actually see it come up. It is a spirit differential is what it looks like. Okay. It's not coming back up now. So that's good. Let's see. Mapping. Okay, perfect. Bossing. Yeah, now they're locked. Now they're not highlighting. I just noticed that now. So that's a glitch that'll happen. If you put it in and zeros come up, you'll weapon swap. So here's an example of the weapon swap with the weapon bossing set on the left, and then my normal mapping set on the right with sword mages, gas arrows on the left. Right? You see the strength and the damage. Now this is interlude axe, so you can already tell, right, how much faster it is. So which is why I really recommend if you're playing through a campaign, having a bossing set with some snipers. It kills a lot of stuff really fast. It's really good. Let's go into the support gems and the passives. We gotta kind of do it together because what I'm doing is a little different than what everyone else is doing, I think. So for support gems, when you're going through campaign, I always stress, right, if you're gonna get the snipers and then followed by the Arsonists, you always want to get multi-shot of some kind because it adds more gas arrows to your snipers, higher burst damage. Same thing with the Arsonist, it's just more shotgunning. But then every minion that I've got has last gasp. Every single one has last gasp. Last gasp, last gasp. You know, last gasp. Last gasp is basically a primary support gem that I need on the minions. The reason being is, if we look at the passive tree, I do not allocate any minion survivability on my passive tree. I don't have any elemental resistances. I barely have any increased life, with the exception of like the ones that I have to get, like right here on the way to revive. So instead, I've allocated all of my survivability to minion revive. So that way, when last gasp is up, the revive timer is shorter than last gasp. So they're always up. They always come up. They're always getting reformed. And because they're always getting reformed, this is proccing a lot. Reform barrier. So energy shield recharge starts. The thing is that it's interruptible. So if you're standing in, you know, a dot or something, it's actually not going to execute. And the other thing with my passive tree, how I have it allocated for weapon set 2, is in my weapon set 2, this is my DPS set for bossing. I actually have all this stuff. I'll have this available in the POB so you can take a look at it for yourself. So whenever I weapon swap for bossing, all these command skills are up, right? And then my advice for campaign is go for damage. Go for damage first. Get this revive nodes with last gasp, and then you won't have to worry about your minions dying, and you can get your abilities out, even if they get one-shotted, right? You'll still have time to get your abilities out, get Lord of Horrors, get that reservation down. Once you have all of the damage, that's when you start getting like energy shield, survivability, all that stuff. At least that's my preference. That's how I do it. So that's how I have it for the passive tree. And then I already kind of covered gear. Gear, you're just getting, you know, minion levels, resistance, and spirit. So here's my loadout. So if you look at my loadout for my mapping setup, I have a bunch of storm mages and just enough snipers that I can have infinite gas arrows with my raging spirits to trigger. On my weapon set 2, I have all these different minions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 7, 42% increased damage from muster that happens on the sniper. So my sniper's damage is really high on the weapon swap. And yeah, that's kind of it for the build and how I've been playing. I'll write a little synopsis in the bottom that goes through like what I did with campaign, whatever choices and stuff. And yeah, enjoy. I'll leave a link to the POB and you can check it out. Peace out. Bye. Hey guys, so this is kind of like my guide on how to play. I'm just gonna kind of do a map. I'm in T8s right now. With the way which works with minions, I kind of have a variation of a mapping setup and a bossing setup on a weapon swap. I use spike damage from the archers, and then I have storm mages clearing. I used to use Arsonists, but I go back and forth depending on how I feel about it. So obviously for gear, I'm going to go over this first. As much minion as you can get with spirit, right? Minion, plus minion on the helmet, spirit on the scepter. I only have spirit on the amulet. I don't have plus minion. I'm not there yet. And then obviously you're just trying to get your resistances to max. My resistances for the most part for Ellie are pretty high. They're almost maxed. My chaos is a little low, right? And then assorted charms. So this is the map we're going to run. It's a T8. I'm level 80 right now, running T8s. I'm trying to push up higher levels so I can get higher uncut skill gems to level up my minions. because I basically have every damage node on the passive tree, and the only way to boost my damage now is minion skill levels. And then the other thing with that is cursing, and debuffing is the other way, which I do. So this is what we're gonna run. I'm running this because the rarity is 61, which is pretty high, and there's 2 revives available. So we'll go through this. I'll run through this map. There's also a ritual in here. Too bad there's not a boss, so I can show you the bossing damage. I'll probably have that in the video, because for campaign, having to swap with the bosses is pretty good. It is really nice. Double copies, you know, of support gems. So like what I use to detonate gas is Infernal Legion on the Raging Spirits. So you see the lightning mages just kind of take care of most of the trash. It's really good. On top of that, they fixed that bug where out of range they couldn't do damage. That's gone. So, or just at the very tip range, that doesn't happen anymore. And you would think they're nerfed because they only chain to 2, but they're pretty good. They're not bad. Right? I use curses and I use Rupture the Soul. Rupture the Soul has been invaluable. Like I know that what's it called? Eternal Youth is good too for the tank ability, but I'm just taking damage with Rupture the Soul and Soulless Form. Man, these chilled grounds are really terrible feeling. Okay, nothing that great. So let's keep going. Chilled grounds rough. It's almost like it's basically temporal chains in an area that doesn't fix. There you go. The Rupture of the Soul goes off. That Rupture of the Soul, I swear, is an MVP. Because these abysses are stacked. They can get really stacked, and then the curse spreads as they die because of I forget what it's called, but it's the one that spreads curses as you go. So there's a T16. I need T17s. You know, we're basically playing pretty safe. When you're not in danger of dying, you can be way more risky. You can just kind of run in by yourself, run past everybody, get everyone to like respawn on you, and then cast all your stuff. So as you can see, I am running the last Gasp support. So that way when my minions have no life, they still do damage, you know? So now I just kind of spread curses right now. Uh-oh. Kind of hard to move. It really sucks not having movement speed because of the chilled ground. Then I'm putting gas arrows and alternating with throwing out Raging Spirits. Because the ignited Raging Spirits, they ignite in an area, so it's pretty good. It is actually a really, really decent way to blow up gas. Uh-oh. Situations like this that are tight, I will just cast Raging Spirits, let them do work, throw out that gas arrow when people are ignited, and it'll detonate. Throw out a curse, so that way Rupture the Soul will go down, and you'll get even more damage. Right, because I think the mod on this map is 30% elemental res. So before I had that curse, I had Unearth, because Unearth would build up these minions for me to body block, which was kind of useful, you know. But now I have a lot of minions on my weapon swap to really fulfill the muster strength. My muster strength is like 49% or something like that. Should we do this? Let's do this. Boom. I'm going to focus on using curses so that way I can spread curse damage and we can get Rupture the Souls to proc. Right over there, throw out some gas. Kill that guy, he's dead. Get a precursor tablet. Throw out a curse. You know, gas arrow. Let's go this way, follow it. And then, yeah. Try to roll through, see what's going on. At high levels, there's actually quite a bit to watch out for. You have to worry about, like, there's a lot of, like, floor effects now with the Abyss. There's a lot of poison things that you have to watch out for. Right? There's a good curse. You always have to watch out for, like, poison going around. So, when you're always trying to, like, push levels, the only way to get damage is debuffing, it feels like. Other ways to just, like, make the monster's more susceptible to damage. Look at this. I gotta go all the way around. South? Is there a checkpoint? No checkpoint. Okay. I love sprint. Sprint is great. Whetstone, pick that up. And then things with gear too in the passive tree. The way I have my passive tree set up, I use Last Gasp on every minion, so I can save on defenses and HP for minions off the passive tree. I literally have nothing invested into elemental res or any of that because I basically just run off of Last Gasp on everybody. And you can consider it too, it's kind of like a high price to pay, right? You're using Last Gasp, the whole like support slot, but it's like 10 passive points for me to get max res and tankiness and stuff. And on top of that, they still die, right? You're gonna run in a situation where they get wiped. So you have to invest in a lot of revive time and then run around, hopefully that they're okay. And I haven't really used the new Grim Feast, so I don't know how good it is. As far as this is playing, I do enjoy how it's going. I have a set of minions who are in charge of clearing trash, and then all I'm focusing on is the big things. Cursing big packs, killing rares, making sure they're not causing trouble. You know, putting out gas to area wipe with spike damage. And then for the most part, casting. There's a respawn. Casting Raging Spirits. Letting that do its thing. So you go over here. They're going to respawn on me. There's a few still alive. There's a whole set. So this is kind of how I've been playing. It's not bad, and I really enjoy it. This has been a W patch for me, just because the playstyle is really dynamic now. With having, was there anything good? Having a bossing set on the weapon swap. That would have been nice to get a divine. What is this? Omen of bartering. Okay, what is this? Another omen of bartering. Refreshment. I don't have any points in this, so we're just gonna take this. Ooh, maybe we take the exalted. Well, let's move over here. Try to complete the map. Right. I don't, because it's a little higher level and I'm waiting on minion damage, even though I'm tanky. Well, you could run through, right? If you wanted to spawn your guys on you. Here they are. You know, you could do that. That's a tactic that I use when I'm in a rush. I'll just run through. Once the minions engage, I can keep running past, and then as soon as I roll to get that extra distance, I'll have them spawn right on me. Just like that. You know. Have the gas blow up. There's a rare. Kill him. So that spike damage with the gas is really good. On my weapon swap, I believe, what is it? My weapon set 2 is 6 archers. So it's just tons of gas. Trying to blow it up. You know, for this, because there's a lot of trash, I have more snipers, or more storm mages. There you go. Kill him. Boom. So he's a good example. Well, he's not really. Hopefully we see an abyss. Because rares, it really shines using gas arrow to really kill him. Hopefully I get a Rupture of the Soul proc. Right, so don't get hit by chaos. That was cool. Right, we'll hit this. Here is the abyss. So right, curses going out, and then Rupture of the Souls. More curses. Let's clear this abyss. Throw a curse out there. Gas. Ooh, something just detonated on me. Did a ton of damage. I think it's this owl. So you see Rupture of the, or Last Gasp is doing its work. Throw out a curse. Make sure you're getting full damage from all the elemental. Wow, it just totally annihilated my what do you call it? Pain offering. So here it is. We're here. But yeah, you'll fight abyss bosses too. Here is one where a bunch of enemies spawn. Great for the curse. There you go. Rupture of the Soul just went off, and it just erases everybody. Take the coffer. Cool. Preserve vertebra. So curses, raging spirits. You could just run around, pop a pain offering if you want to play this kind of style. Watch out for that bleed. Detonate the gas. Like, it's pretty active, I'd say. It's as active as you want to make it. Especially if you're using storm mages, it's less active. Hold on. Is there another chest here? Abyssal coffer. Cool. Take that chaos. Let's do this. Ritual right here. Right? Put that up. Put a curse down. Make sure that curse goes. Good detonation. Gas. Another pain offering. And then we'll put out a curse. I'm going to go on this side because there's more space. Minions will revive on me. One thing I don't like is on a revive, I'll hit pain offering. And then it'll just get destroyed. It'll get eaten up. It won't even get used. Right, there you go. Where's my skeletons? There they are. That tornado just ate up my pain offering. You know, there you go. A gas detonates. So, yeah, you kind of just throw gas around. Situations like this. Cover the area up. And in a way, because it kind of spawns, it kind of ignites later, you can have the gas kind of spread out. And then when someone ignites, it covers the whole screen. But yeah, this is how I've been playing. It's pretty fun. I switched from... So let's go put on our bossing setup, right? Weapon swap. We got a bunch. And then you just rain gas arrows. You could probably get more cast speed if you wanted, but this is fine as it is. And that's kind of how I play and how I go through. I try to roll maps as high as I can, and then yeah, that's how it is. So that's an example